Girivaradhari Nityanavallabha Girivaradhari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Hare Krishna devotees.
Good evening. Evening all.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Mbada. Hare Krishna Mbada. Okay, so we're starting this steady invocation, chant the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Where are you? Miss Carter, are you in the home? Eh? Caution approved.
I'm in the spiritual world. No, it's just I'm just sorry, it's just a background picture.
Where are you? It's in your house, is it?
No, you can change it, you see. And I'm on the boat pastime with Krishna now. And now I'm with Varaha.
Oh, very
And
good.
now I'm back in the home. Mystic powers. I wish.
Okay, enough frivolity. So last week we were talking about time, and we started with a paramanu, the smallest instrument of time. It's like 6 times shorter than a second, and much more than that actually. We went right up to the lifetime of Lord Brahma. And so that's where we finished in text in chapter 12, chapter 11, sorry. And then in chapter 12, we started to talk about, Brahma's creation, which is a secondary creation. First creation is called Sarga. That's the ingredients given by the Vishnu. And then the secondary creation is the creation of the living entities. From that initial creation, that's called Visharga, that's the creation of Lord Brahma. So now we're going to talk about that, but the story behind it as well. And so we spoke about it a little bit before. We spoke about it a little bit last week. And we talked about how the Kumaras, they were one of the first creations. They were offspring from Brahma. But he said he wanted them to create, that's the whole purpose of in producing offspring, is to create population of the universe so that living entities can, utilize their desires to enjoy and to ultimately go back to Godhead. But the Kumaras, they said, sorry, we're not going to do it. He says, that's one thing you don't have to do. You have to follow instructions, but if you don't have to get married. And so the Kumaras knew that, and they said, we're going to stay brahmachari. And, Brahmari were like, he'd gone to so much effort. You can imagine what he felt like. He says that he was so angry, but he used his intelligence not to reveal it. But it came out of his forehead, and then Lord Shiva, the Rudra, came. So that was another creation. And then he went on to create, so many things. And after, he created, from his body came even how he created Vak, was his daughter, and, became so infatuated with his daughter, he started to run after her for sex. And so this was a pastime to show us how powerful this energy is. It's very, very powerful. And then we went into different aspects of different living entities he created. The ashrams, the different dharmas, the Vedic hymns, he created everything. And then after he took a rest, he'd been creating for some time, he realized that, the Prajapātis weren't creating enough progeny. And so at that moment, when he was thinking what to do, these 2 beings came out of his body called Satarupa, and Swayambhuva Manu, man and wife. And so they asked him, they were more submissive to the Kumaras. They were prepared to do what, Brahma told them, so he was really satisfied with that. And so he told them to do 3 things. He told them to create progeny, rule the universe in a religious way, and cultivate the spiritual life. So we should take note from that. Three important points. And that brought us to, so they started to create, and they started to create, you know, like Ruchi, Acuti, Acuti, Ruchi, Devahuti, Acuti, Devahuti, Prasuti, and these all married different great sages who were also coming from Brahma as well. There was nowhere else for them to come from. So everything's coming from Brahma at the moment. And when these two appeared, Swayambhuva Manu and his wife Satarupa, then Vidura asked, you know, what did they do? What happened next? And so that's where we're going to read. We can read from text 6. Text 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is, you know, Vidura petitioning Maitreya to actually explain this, that's all. So in chapter 13, if we start from the top, that's Gadai, and read from text 6.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. What canto is it?
Third
Canto.
Third canto. We're still on the third canto, 13th chapter. Text 6. We're going to read read through to text 38 or 35.
How many verses do you want me to read, Maharaj?
Just read 5 and then we pass it on to the next one. Is I'm seeing after you.
So this is text 6. The sage Maitreya said to Vidura, after his appearance, Manu, the father of mankind, along with his wife, thus addressed the reservoir of Vedic wisdom, Brahma, with obeisances and folded hands. You are the father of all living entities and the source of their substance, because they are all born of you. Please order us how we may be able to render service unto you. O worshipful one, please give us your direction for the execution of duty within our working capacity, so that we can follow it for fame in this life and progress in the next. Lord Brahma said, my dear son, O Lord of the world, I am very pleased with you, and I desire all blessings for both you and your wife. You have without reservation surrendered yourself unto me with your heart for my instruction. O hero, your example is quite befitting a son in relationship with his father. This sort of adoration for the superior is required. One who is beyond the limit of envy and who is sane accepts the order of his father with great delight and executes it to his full capacity.
Okay, so in the purpose of this section, it describes how, you know, the relationship between the spiritual master, which is Brahma in this case, and his son, Swayambhuva Manu. It says when the disciple is submissive, the spiritual master or the father become 10 times more open to give knowledge because that relationship's there. So it's really important that, you know, all the scriptures are telling us to respect the spiritual master, because then he opens up and gives us transcendental knowledge. Otherwise, it doesn't really work. It's not just a matter of externally taking initiation, but it's a mood that we actually have towards our spiritual master or his representative. Okay, so I'm seeing you, Mataji. Can you carry on?
Can you just put, is it text 11?
Yeah.
Since you are my very obedient son, I ask you to beget children qualified like yourself in the womb of your wife. Rule the world in pursuance of the principles of devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus worship the Lord by performance of yagna. O King, if you can give proper protection to the living beings in the material world, then what will be the best service for me when the Supreme Lord sees you to be a good protector of the conditioned souls? Certainly the Master of the senses will be very pleased with you. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, Lord Krishna, is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice. If he is not satisfied, then one's labour for advancements is futile. He is the ultimate self, and therefore one who does not satisfy him certainly neglects his own interests. Brahma thought, while I have been engaged in the process of creation, the earth has been inundated by a deluge and has gone down into the depths of the ocean. What can we do? What can we do who are engaged in this matter of creation? It is best to let the Almighty Lord direct us. Do you want me to read another one?
You missed a page, Mataji.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll go back. O Masters of the Demigod, is that the one? Please attend to the earth, which is merged.
No, Sri Manu said.
You need to read 14 and 15.
Thank you. Sorry, I must have turned over too many pages. Sri Manu said, O powerful Lord, O killer of all sins, I shall abide by your order. Now please let me know my place and that of the living entities born of me. O Master of the demigods, please attempt to lift the earth, which is merged in the great water, because it is the dwelling place for all the living entities. It can be done by your endeavour and by the mercy of the Lord.
Okay, so there's two Varahas. There's one which appears in the first millennium, the first Manu. So he's white, and you know, the first part will be talking about, when it talks about lifting the earth from the ocean, it's talking about this one. Although they both did that, it says that in the Srimad Bhagavatam that, you know, he's talking about the white boar, and then later on in the Chakshusha Manu, which is when Lord Bo killed Hiranyaksha, he's blue in colour. So as soon as, you know, Hiranyaksha challenges the boar incarnation, when he brings the earth out of the ocean, he starts talking about the second Manu, the second Varaha. So it's mixed them both. Why, I don't know, but that's what it is. Okay, so next is Bharti Mataji. Can you read from 16?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Sri Maitra said, thus seeing the earth merged in the water, Brahma gave his attention for a long time to how it could be lifted. Brahma thought, while I have been engaged in the process of creation, the earth has been inundated by a deluge and has gone down into the depths of the ocean. What can we do who are engaged in this matter of creation? It is best to let the Almighty Lord direct us. O sinless Vidura, all of a sudden, while Brahma was engaged in thinking, a small form of a boar came out of his nostril. The measurement of the creature was not more than the upper portion of a thumb. O descendant of Bharat, while Brahma was observing him, that boar became situated in the sky in a wonderful manifestation, as gigantic as a great elephant. Struck with wonder at observing the wonderful boar-like form in the sky, Brahma with great Brahmanas like Maharishi as well as the Kumaras and Manu began to argue in various ways.
Okay. So, you know, I'm very surprised. By the time it doesn't go halves on things, does it, you know? It really. Anyway, I wonder which nose it came out. He's got 4, hasn't he?
Yeah.
There must be one face, which is, you know, the leader of the others. I think it's explained, actually, they have different purposes. But anyway, I mean, Brahma, he thought, he immediately thought, well, I don't know where this has come from. it's not one of my creations. So automatically he started to think it might be the Supreme Lord. He immediately started to think like that. But then, you know, the sages, they started arguing about, you know, where it could come from philosophically. But anyway, next is Goridas Prabhu. Can you read 22?
21.
21, I mean.
Krishna Maharaj, is this some extraordinary entity come in the presence of a boar? It is very wonderful that he has come from my nose. First of all, this boar was seen no bigger than the tip of a thumb, and within a moment he was as large as a stone. My mind is perturbed. Is he the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu? While Brahma was deliberating with his sons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, roared tumultuously like a great mountain. The omnipotent Supreme Personality of Godhead enlivened Brahma and the other highly elevated Brahmanas by again roaring with his uncommon voice, which echoed in all directions. When the great sages and thinkers who are residents of Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka heard the tumultuous voice of Lord Boar, which was the all-auspicious sound of the all-merciful Lord, they chanted auspicious chants from the three Vedas.
Okay. Next is, who's next? I'm seeing him. Have you, no, you've read it. Hari.
26, Maharaj.
What is it? Yeah, Haridas.
Yes. Playing like an elephant, he entered into the water after roaring again in reply to the Vedic prayers by the great devotees. The Lord is the object of the Vedic prayers, and thus he understood that the devotees' prayers were meant for him. Before entering the water to rescue the earth, Lord Boar flew in the sky, slashing his tail, his hard hair quivering. His very glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with his hooves and his glittering white tusks. He was personally the Supreme Lord Vishnu and was therefore transcendental. Yet because he had the body of a hog, he searched after the earth by smell. His tusks were fearful, and he glanced over the devotee Brahmanas, engaged in offering prayers. Thus he entered the water. Diving into the water like a giant mountain, Lord Boar divided the middle of the ocean, and two high waves appeared as the arms of the ocean, which cried loudly as if praying to the Lord. O Lord of all sacrifices, please do not cut me in two. Kindly give me protection. Lord Boar penetrated the water with his hooves, which were like sharp arrows, and found the limits of the ocean, although it was unlimited. He saw the earth, the resting place for all living beings, lying as it was in the beginning of the creation, and he personally lifted it.
Okay. So in 17, in the part of 17, it explains about how we can read it actually. If you just go back to 17, it's important for devotees.
Text 17, Maharaj.
Yeah, I'll read it if you want. It's only a short report. The devotees of the Lord who are all confidential servitors. So there's a comma there, the devotees of the Lord, and then it says, who are all confidential servitors. So that means that everybody who's a devotee is a confidential servitor. Or sometimes perplexed in the discharge of their respective duties. Everybody agree? I think that's unanimous. But they are never discouraged Everybody agree? They have full faith in the Lord, and he paves the way for the smooth progress of the devotee's duty. So he makes arrangements, even though we're actually completely bewildered. I think we all have that experience. We get into a situation where we don't know whether we're to turn left or right. You know, Prabhupada, when he came off the Jaladutra, he didn't know whether to turn left or right. And but things worked out. So we have to have patience. It'll work out. I just thought we go on that one. All right, we can carry on with 31 now. That's who's Jai Krishna Prabhu. Can you carry on reading?
Which verse is it?
31.
31. Okay. Lord Boar very easily took the earth on his tusks and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid. Then, his anger glowing like the Sudasham wheel, he immediately killed the demon Hiranyaksha, although he tried to fight with the Lord. Thereupon Lord Boar killed the demon within the water, just as a lion kills an elephant. The cheeks and tongue of the Lord became smeared with the blood of the demon, just as an elephant becomes reddish from digging in the purple earth. Then the Lord, playing like an elephant, suspended the earth on the edge of his curved white tusks. He assumed a bluish complexion like that of a tamala tree, and thus the sages, headed by Brahma, could understand him to be the supreme personality of Godhead and offered respectful obeisances unto the Lord. All the sages uttered with great respect, O unconquerable enjoyer of all sacrifices, all glories, and all victories unto you. You are moving in your form of the personified Vedas, and in the hair holes of your body the oceans are submerged. For certain reasons, to uplift the earth, you have now assumed the form of a boar. O Lord, your form is worshipable by performances of sacrifice, but souls who are simply miscreants are unable to see it. All the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others, are in the touch of your skin. In your bodily hairs is the kusha grass, in your eyes is the clarified butter, and in your 4 legs are the 4 kinds of fruitive activities.
Okay. So now from 35 on to 38, it talks about, you know, the different parts of Lord Viraha's body and, you know, what they relate to. So we'll go to 38 now. And carry on reading from there. You can read 2 more verses. Oh, you've read to 35, haven't you?
Wait.
Who's next?
Okay.
Karshana.
Yeah. 36.
38.
Oh Lord. Oh, read to 38. Read from 38.
Yeah.
Read from 38. O Lord, your semen is a sacrifice called Somayagya. Your growth is the ritualistic performances of the morning. Your skin and touch sensations are the 7 elements of the Agnishtoma sacrifice. Your bodily joints are symbols of various other sacrifices performed in 12 days. Therefore, you are the object of all sacrifices called Soma and Asoma, and you are bound by yagyas only. O Lord, you are the supreme personality of Godhead and are worshipable by universal prayers, Vedic hymns, and sacrificial ingredients. We offer our obeisances unto you. You can be realized by the pure mind, freed from all visible and invisible material contamination. We offer our respectful obeisances to you as the supreme spiritual master of knowledge in devotional service. O lifter of the earth with its mountains, which you have lifted with your tusks, is situated as beautifully as a lotus flower with leaves sustained by an infuriated elephant just coming out of the water. Tell me when to stop, Maharaj.
If you get to 40 now.
Yeah, that's 40, that.
So your wife can read now.
O Lord, as the peaks
of great mountains become beautiful when decorated with clouds, your transcendental body has become beautiful because of your lifting the earth on the edge of your tusks. O Lord, for the residential purposes of all inhabitants, both moving and non-moving, this earth is your wife, and you are the Supreme Father. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, along with Mother Earth, in whom you have invested your own potency, just as an expert sacrificer puts fire in the Arani wood. Who else but you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could deliver the earth from within the water? It is not very wonderful for you, however, because you acted most wonderfully in the creation of the universe. By your energy, you have created this wonderful cosmic manifestation. O Supreme Lord, undoubtedly we are inhabitants of the most pious planets, the Jana, Tapas, and Satyalokas, but still, we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs by the shaking of your body. O Lord, there is no limit to your wonderful activities. Anyone who desires to know the limit of your activities is certainly nonsensical. Everyone in this world is conditioned by the powerful mystic potencies. Please bestow your causeless mercy upon these conditioned souls.
Okay. So this is last 5 verses is Ambada. Are you there?
Hare Krishna, I'm here, yes. Yeah. Can you hear me? You want me to continue from 46?
Yeah.
The sage Maitreya said, "The Lord, being thus worshipped by all great sages and transcendentalists, touched the earth with his hooves and placed it on the water. In this manner, the personality of God, Lord Vishnu, the maintainer of all living entities, raised the earth from within the water, and having placed it afloat on the water, he returned to his own abode." If one hears and describes in a devotional service attitude this auspicious narration of the Lord bore, which is worthy of description, the Lord, who is within the heart of everyone, is very pleased. Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of God is pleased with someone. By transcendental achievements, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfectional stage by the Lord himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. Who, other than one who is not a human being, can exist in this world and not be interested in the ultimate goal of life? Who can refuse the nectar of narration about the personality of Godhead activities, which by itself can deliver one from all material pangs? Hare Krishna.
Okay. So that's the end of the 13th chapter. So now in the 14th chapter, Vidura, his interest has been tweaked by hearing about Lord Varaha killing.
I ask you a question on this. Here, Lord Varaha put the earth on the actual ocean. So, what does that actually mean? It's is it actually floating in the ocean, or?
That's what it says. I mean, if Krishna can empower anything to do anything, just like when they went to Lanka, because they wrote the name of Lord Ram on each stone, it was empowered with the Lord's potency, and the stones floated. So all these planets are floating in the air, not because, or it's not like natural, it's because there's Krishna's potency keeping them there. Not to speak of, floating, just because it's touching the water, it's nothing. It's floating in space usually. How is it doing it?
No, my question was, it says Lord Varaha put the earth on the ocean, but it's actually floating in space, isn't it, the earth? So I'm just trying to, see the development between being in the space and in the ocean.
Garbadak Ocean.
Yeah.
It was, you know, the Earth's a planet, and they placed it on the Garbadak Ocean in the universe.
So is it still in the ocean, or is it? I'm just trying to get a bit of a logical, you know.
I thought it was because it was a temporary act he did, so he could fight Hiranishaki, the other demon. At the time, he just placed.
It's like that, you know. It's like you can say that, can't you? Just wait there a minute. I'll see to you. So he puts, you know, he puts the Earth to one side, and I'll come back to see, you know, to put the Earth in its orbit when I've seen to this rascal. Anyway, we don't know that, but you know, anyway, this is what it said. I'm not getting into this, but
Maharaj,
what?
Because the problem is we look at it from a modern scientific astrological perspective, as the way the planets float around and everything, as we get taught, you know, modern education. But actually, from the Vedic perspective, it's completely different, the way everything is arranged.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't understand how the universe is, you know, designed, it's like half the universe is filled with water, and all the planets are above that. So he floated it on the water halfway up the universe. Anyway, you know, just accept it for the time being. If you look in later, if you look back at what we've covered, you'll find out it talks about how the universe became filled with water, and then the planetary systems were created in the top half of the universe. So the Earth had been dropped into the Garbadak Ocean. Now he brought it out. As soon as he came out, it was a challenge by Hiranyaksha. So he put the Earth to one side while he fought Hiranyaksha, that's all. And then he would put it back in its orbit.
Thank you, Maris.
So there's, I mean, I've heard the pastime where, because Hiranyaksha was mining all the, you know, the resources of the Earth planet so much that it fell out of its orbit and fell into the ocean. I don't know. I've heard that pastime presented. I don't know what the what's the authenticity of that pastime is, or is that possibly in a later canto? I don't know. Maybe you can.
I've heard that as well. I can't remember if I've read it. Possibly, I'm not sure. But anyway, you know, it's the Earth was somehow or other. The Earth was placed there, and that could be the reason. I think, you know, I've heard that as well. I can't remember if I read it in the Bhagavatam. So anyway, you know, when he fought, it just alluded to that he fought Hiranyaksha and killed him. And so, you know, Vidura is saying, well, wait, what happened there? What happened when he was killed? What, you know, he just actually said he was killed and not said. So now he's going to explain, you know, where did Hiranyaksha come from? How is it he came to be fighting with the Supreme Lord? And so he'll start talking about, you know, how Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha took birth in the womb of deity, Mother Deity, and how that took place. So this is talking about the pregnancy of deity in the evening. Is everybody with us? It's the background to the appearance of Hiranyaksha. Okay. So who's next? Padmalocham Prabhu. You can start from text 1 and it'll explain this.
Yeah, of course. Can you hear me okay, Maharaj?
Yeah.
Thank you. Sukadev Goswami said, after hearing from the great sage Maitreya about the Lord's incarnation as Vaha, Vidura, who has taken a vow, begged him with folded hands to please narrate further transcendental activities of the Lord, since he, Vidura, did not feel satisfied. He, Vidura, said, O chief amongst the great sages, I have heard by disciplic succession that Hiranyaksha, the original demon, was slain by the same form of sacrifices, the personality of Godhead, Lord Bor. There was a reason, O Brahmana, for the fight between the demon king and Lord Bor. While the Lord was lifting the earth as his pastime, my mind has become very inquisitive, and therefore I am not satisfied with hearing the narration of the Lord's appearance. Please therefore speak more and more to a devotee who is faithful. The great sage Maitreya said, O warrior, the inquiry made by you is just befitting a devotee, because it concerns the incarnation of the personality of Godhead. He is the source of liberation from the chain of birth and death for all those who are otherwise destined to die. By hearing these topics from the sage Narad, the son of King Uttanapad, Dhruva was enlightened regarding the personality of Godhead, and he ascended to the abode of the Lord, placing his feet over the head of death.
Okay. So next is Shri. Is that Shri Lakshmi? Nobody there?
Maharaj, I'm a bit busy, so can I ask someone else to do, please?
Okay. So we'll go back to the top. It's Bharti Mataji. Can you read number 7 to 10?
Yes, Maharaj. This history of the fight between the Lord as a boar and the demon Hiranyakash was heard by me in a year long ago, as it was described by the foremost of the demigods, Brahma, when he was questioned by the other demigods. Diti, daughter of Daksha, being afflicted with sex desire, begged her husband Kashyapa, the son of Marichi, to have intercourse with her in the evening in order to beget a child. The sun was setting and the sage was sitting in trance after offering oblations to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, whose tongue is the sacrificial fire. In that place, the beautiful deity expressed her desire, O learned one, Cupid is taking his arrows and distressing me forcibly as a mad elephant troubles a banana tree. Thank you.
All right. Carry on, Gauri Dasguru.
Therefore, you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and I am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will become happy. A woman is honored in the world by the benediction of her husband, and a husband like you will become famous by having children, because you are meant for the expansion of living entities. In days long ago, our father, the most opulent Daksha, who was affectionate to his daughters, asked each of us separately whom we would prefer to select as our husband. Our well-wishing father, Daksha, after knowing our intentions, handed over 13 of his daughters unto you, and since then we have all been faithful. O lotus-eyed one, kindly bless me by fulfilling my desire. When someone in distress approaches a great person, his plea should never go in vain.
Okay. And Garai Prabhu.
O hero Vidura, Diti, being thus afflicted by the contamination of lust, and therefore poor and talkative, was pacified by the son of Marichi in suitable words. O afflicted one, I shall forthwith gratify whatever desire is dear to you, for who else but you is the source of the three perfections of liberation? As one can cross over the ocean with sea-going vessels, one can cross the dangerous situation of the material ocean by living with a wife. O respectful one, a wife is so helpful that she is called the better half of a man's body because of her sharing all auspicious activities. A man can move without anxiety, entrusting all responsibilities to his wife. As a fort, commander very easily conquers invading plunderers. By taking shelter of a wife, one can conquer the senses, which are unconquerable in the other social orders.
I'm seeing much as you. Can you read?
O Queen of the home, we are not able to act like you, nor could we repay you for what you have done, even if we worked for our entire life or even after death. To repay you is not possible, even for those who are admirers of personal qualities. Even though it is not possible to repay you, I shall satisfy your sex desire immediately for the sake of begetting children, but you must wait for only a few seconds so that others may not reproach me. This particular time is most inauspicious because at this time the horrible-looking ghost and constant companions of the Lord of the Ghosts are visible. Lord Shiva, the king of the ghosts, sitting on the back of his bull carrier, travels at this time, accompanied by ghosts who follow him for their welfare. Lord Shiva's body is reddish and he is unstained, but he is covered with ashes. His hair is dusty from the whirlwind dust of the burning crematorium. He is the youngest brother of your husband, and he sees with his 3 eyes. Do you want me to continue?
What verse is it? Let's have a look.
I don't know what my counting was.
Okay, so I can just, it's it says that earlier on it said how the wife is the queen of the husband and the savior, because in Grihastha life it's safe in that if the senses become uncontrolled, even though they may be satisfied, not according to religious principles, it's not actually that bad. It is actually, it's not recommended. But, in the other 3 orders, the brahmachari, vanaprastha and sannyas, they're not allowed any connection with them. If they actually fall down, then they'll probably pollute another man's wife, or, it won't be in married life. And so it's very sinful. And, so that's why it's saying that, the wife is a savior for the husband. If there is indulgence, it's not as bad as if they're not married, if it's within marriage bounds, it's not with another woman polluting unnecessary society. And what else? What other points is there here? Okay, so we'll carry on. 26 is Adidas. And actually, I forgot to ask Catherine to read last time, so she can read after you.
Okay,
You should pick up if I, if I miss you out.
Okay, text 26. Lord Shiva regards no one as his relative, yet there is no one who is not connected with him. He does not regard anyone as very favorable or abominable. We respectfully worship the remnants of his foodstuff, and we vow to accept what is rejected by him. Although no one in the material world is equal to or greater than Lord Shiva, and although his unimpeachable character is followed by great souls to dismantle the mass of nescience, he nevertheless remains as if a devil to give salvation to all devotees of the Lord. Unfortunate, foolish persons, not knowing that he is engaged in his own self, laugh at him. Such foolish persons engage in maintaining the body, which is eatable by dogs, with dresses, ornaments, garlands, and ointments. Demigods like Brahma also follow the religious rites observed by him. He is the controller of the material energy, which causes the creation of the material world. He is great, and therefore his devilish characteristics are simply
imitation.
Maitreya said, Diti was thus informed by her husband, but she was pressed by Cupid for sexual satisfaction. She caught hold of the clothing of the great Brahmin sage, just like a shameless public prostitute.
Okay.
Understanding his wife's purpose, he was obliged to perform the forbidden act, and thus after offering his obeisances unto worshipable fate, he lay with her in a secluded place. Thereafter the Brahmana took his bath in the water and controlled his speech by practicing trance, meditating on the eternal effulgence and chanting the holy Gayatri hymns within his mouth. O son of the Bharat family, Diti after this went nearer to her husband, her face lowered because of her faulty action. She spoke as follows. The beautiful Diti said, My dear Brahmana, kindly see that my embryo is not killed by Lord Shiva, the Lord of all living entities, because of the great offence I have committed against him. Let me offer my obeisances unto the angry Lord Shiva, who is simultaneously the very ferocious great demigod and the fulfiller of all material desires. He is all auspicious and forgiving, but his anger can immediately move him to chastise.
Okay, thank you. What's next? Where are we now? Lost track. We got, oh, Jai Krishna.
Text 36, yeah?
Yeah.
Let him be pleased with us, since he is my brother-in-law, the husband of my sister Sati. He is also the worshipable Lord of all women. He is the personality of all opulences and can show mercy towards women who are excused even by the uncivilized hunters. Maitreya said, the great sage Kashyapa thus addressed his wife, who was trembling because of fear that her husband was offended. She understood that he had been dissuaded from his daily duties of offering evening prayers, yet she desired the welfare of her children in the world. The learned Kashyapa said, because of your minds being polluted, because of defilement of the particular time, because of your negligence of my directions, and because of your being apathetic to the demigods, everything was inauspicious. O haughty one, you will have 2 contemptuous sons born of your condemned womb. Unlucky woman, they will cause constant lamentation to all the 3 worlds. They will kill poor, faultless living entities, torture women, and enrage the great souls.
Okay, so
God of the universe, the supreme personality of Godhead, who is the well-wisher of all living entities, who will descend and kill them, just as Indra smashed.
what happened?
Don't know.
Okay, so I'm just going to comment a little bit. That, you know, it's like there's a certain time of day when Lord Shiva and his companions, who are usually in the mode of tamas, you know, ghostly beings and all kinds of beings like that, that he goes over the firmament. It's evening time, dusk, and so these these beings in ghostly bodies, they don't have a gross body. So at that time, if there's you know, sexual act being performed, then they have the opportunity then to take on that, to be born in that particular womb, like that. So this is why Kardamas told his wife to wait for 1 muhurta, which is about 48 minutes, and then that time would have passed, but she couldn't. So, you know, that will be the result of having these two contemptuous living entities, you know, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Okay, who's next?
Me?
Is it? All right.
Yeah. 42. Diti said, "It is very good that my sons will be magnanimously killed by the arms of the personality of Godhead with his Sudarshan weapon. O my husband, may they never be killed by the wrath of the Brahmana devotees. A person who is condemned by a Brahmana or is always fearful to other living entities is not favored even by those who are already in hell or by those in the species in which he is born." The learned Kashyapa said, "Because of your lamentation, penitence, and proper deliberation, and also because of your unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and your adoration for Lord Shiva and me, one of the sons, Prahlad, of your son Hiranyakashipu, will be an approved devotee of the Lord, and his fame will be broadcast equally with that of the Personality of Godhead."
Your wife, please.
Everyone will be pleased with him because the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller of the universe, is always satisfied with a devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him. The topmost devotee of the Lord will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence and will be the greatest of the great souls. Due to mature devotional service, he will certainly be situated in transcendental ecstasy and will enter the spiritual sky after quitting this material world. He will be virtuously qualified reservoir of all good qualities. He will be jolly and happy in others' happiness, distressed in others' distress, and will have no enemies. He will be a destroyer of the lamentation of all the universes, like the pleasant moon after the summer sun. Your grandson will be able to see inside and outside the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose wife is the beautiful goddess of fortune. The Lord can assume the form desired by the devotee, and his face is always beautifully decorated with earrings. The sage Maitreya said, hearing that her grandson would be a great devotee and that her sons would be killed by Krishna, Diti was highly pleased in mind.
Okay. So 15. That's Prahlad Maharaj. So she got the benediction. That's how Prahlad Maharaj was born in a demon family. It was, you know, organized by, it was part of the Lord's arrangement. So now we go on a little bit further with this story. This is called Description of the Kingdom of God. So now we know how, you know, Gita became pregnant and these two living entities, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, took birth in the womb or took shelter in the womb. But, you know, why? Where did they come from? So now it's going to tell the story of how they got there, why they took birth in that situation. And so it's talking about description of the kingdom of God. So the Kumaras, they're sons of Brahma, and they're Brahmavadis. They're impersonal perfection. But they're Brahmavadis because they're not envious of the Supreme Lord. So they wanted to go to Vaikuntha to see what it was like. You know, they can travel throughout the universe by the mystic power. So they decided to go to Vaikuntha. So this is where the story starts. So who's next? Padmalochan, is it? Oh, Ambada. Sorry, Ambada's next.
Maharaj.
Yeah.
Is it from text 1, you say?
Text 1, yeah.
Sri Maitreya said, "My dear Vidura, Diti, the wife of the sage of Kasyapa, could understand that the sons within her womb would be a cause of disturbance to the demigods. As such, she continuously bore the powerful semen of Kasyapa Muni, which was meant to give trouble to others, for 100 years. By the force of the pregnancy of Diti, the light of the sun and the moon was impaired in all the planets, and the demigods of various planets, being disturbed by that force, asked the creator of the universe, Brahma, what is this expansion of darkness in all directions? The fortunate demigod said, O great one, just see this darkness, which you know very well and which is causing us anxiety. Because the influence of time cannot touch you, there is nothing unmanifested before you. O God of the demigods, sustainer of the universe, head jewel of all the demigods in other planets, you know the intentions of all living entities in both the spiritual and material world. The original source of strength and scientific knowledge, all obeisances unto you. You have accepted the different mode of passion from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. With the help of external energy, you are born in the unmanifested source. All obeisances unto you.
Okay, so we'll skip.
Oh Lord, all these planets.
Okay. We'll skip a few verses. Basically, we've understood the situation. The demigods, the whole universe was dark because of Diti keeping the demons within a womb. And so Brahma is going to explain this to them. They don't know that. And so now he has to explain that. He has to, talk about what the living entities are who are in her womb, which I mentioned just a few minutes ago. And so we were talking about the Kumaras going to Vaikuntha. So now this is what they saw when they went to Vaikuntha. This is the description. Now it's up to you. It's nearly time now. We can stop anyway, but do we want to, next week, you can actually decide whether you want to read about Vaikuntha. I think it's good to actually understand the nature of that place, and we can read through all the qualities of Vaikuntha. And then we'll hear what happened when the Kumaras actually reached Vaikuntha. There was some fireworks, and as a result of those fireworks, then Diti was housing, these two living entities in a womb. Okay. Any questions? So we've had quite a good reading session today. It's not been so much in depth, but we can keep trying things, whichever is suitable. We can have more commentary and less reading, or find a balance.
Thank you, Maharaj. It's actually quite nice to read through. You can pick up the thread of the.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Whatever we're getting the most out of. Okay, thank you for your.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.